and OMG is black. So OMG, we are going to have a look at your masterpiece first. And this is a bird, which is actually quite a common opening on club level, because it is another alteration of the London, which I equally despise for the same reasons, which is that you learn one structure, you learn the opening and the concepts in about 5 minutes, and then you're good to go for the rest of your life. Nothing that offers such easy exits from learning is a good way to go about chess. Now, in this structure, I prefer for black to play knight f6 before knight goes to c6, because if they commit to b3, very often a6, which I very often preach against very, very strongly, is a good move. And the reason for that is because this opening is about the control of the e5 square. And what white wants to do is to pin this knight on c6. I think the game is going to be the best example. Yep. And then eliminate this knight and then gain absolute total control over the e5 square and have this bishop killing on that diagonal. Now this is nothing major dramas for black, but if possible, it's a good idea to avoid it by playing here a6. Because now this bishop is sort of silly. You can't develop it here. I mean, you can develop it here, but any further squares on the diagonal are not really looking good or downright stupid. Okay, so bishop f5, bishop there, rook c8. I don't like rook c8 here. Typical example of a waste of move, because if it's played with the intention of avoiding double pawns, it's not working, because knight e5 is going to force double pawns anyway, and the rook just stands silly on c8. So why don't we develop? Develop. Yes, you are right that a6 normally is one of those moves that I would have a massive go at u4. This is the exception. That's why chess is beautiful, because there are no 100% total rules. Like, don't put your knight on the edge or don't play bunnies. Yes, they are general pieces of advice that are occasionally to be broken. Okay, so I think that it would have been more logical for white to play knight e5 to force the double pawns here. Now you got away with that. And now the next step for them is going to be, more often than not, a kingside attack based on variety of ideas, castles, queen e1, queen h5, h4, sorry, or g4, and then massive pawn storm. He went for queen e1, logical. And the other problem for black here is that we are very planless. Because whilst they do have access to e5, we don't have access to e4. So it is difficult to find a constructive plan. One of them would be to remove the knight from f6 and then kick the knight out with f6 and then eventually play for e5. The reason why this is not really that great is because as soon as we remove the knight from f6, e4 hits us in the face rather badly. I actually don't mind b5 with the intention of c4, although it has to be noted that c4 is going to give up the dark squares forever. And unless we get some significant counterplay, we will be essentially dead. Okay, I don't like this move. I think white is playing on the wrong side of the board here. Queen h4 appears to me to be consistent and logical. Okay, takes. That seems to be stepping into e4. So logical to me seems to be to take. Because if they take back, then they have given up the e4 square for good, so that's a disaster. And if they take like so, then all of a sudden we have got a b file to play on. Which is really great news, because 2 seconds ago I said we were planless. And now white, very typically by the way for amateur players, hello the eyes, and I hate to say this, but this is a long ongoing theory of mine, that people below 2000 and even above very often do more self-harm than what their opponent would be capable of inflicting. Like, if white hadn't played his c4, black would have struggled very, very badly to come up with a plan. Now with c4, white has granted a super kindergarten level plan for black, which is to penetrate on the b. And by no means is it a winning plan, because bishop c3 will keep me at bay for a while, but at least it's a super easy thing to do, and I don't even have to think. Instead, white carries on his plan of making further weaknesses in his own camp, Now e4 is forever ours. And something that is important to note here is that whilst e4 is ours, e5 is not theirs, because we still have the means to kick them out. I think it was time to go in. So once again, I don't understand the logic of how the game is going, because white says, I want to kick you out with e4, and then we go like, yeah, go for your life. How does that make sense? So it feels to me like it's not two people playing against each other, it's two people playing with their own pieces, ignoring the other. Which is always mind-boggling to me, because my purpose in this game is to defeat you. So whatever you are doing on the other side of the board is crucially important for me in order to defeat you. So when you play knight e2, my first instinct, and it hardly ever happens consistently in amateur level chess, and I don't understand this, is to ask, why did he go there? And until you know the answer, you can't make your own move. I mean, you can, but then you are making an educated guess rather than a considered decision. Because as soon as you figure out that, he wants to play e4, you go like, no, I don't want that. And you play knight e4. If they play g4, you take, they take back, you go here. And we have conquered again the weak square, and rook d8 can come next. Now after rook d8, as per text, e4, and we are back to square -2. Typical, very inconsistent chess here. Okay, I'm lost for words now, because now white is offering another chance for black to hop in and exploit the horrendously weak square. Not happening. Is there anything wrong with e4 now? Probably not. h3 was played. Oh, sorry, wrong button. So h3 was played, which again is weird. Queen a5. Welcome to Blunder Town. So now, once again, this is so painful to watch. h3, what's the purpose? I wonder. Maybe he wants to play e4, bishop back, f5, bishop he g4, trapping the bishop. Funny that. So then we go like, nah. We just ignore them again for the 5th time in this game. We just totally disregard our opponent's move, hoping that it will be all a-okay. Very strange, very strange. Now after e4, the back f5, we are just dead. Okay, we went queen a2, ef5. I suppose that's playable too. I'm not sure what's wrong with bishop drop back to a1, for example. I don't really think that there is anything wrong there, but let's see how this turned out. Take, take. Hang on. I'm missing some tacticos here. Isn't knight takes f7 winning here on the spot because of queen e6 mate? Oh wow. Right, so that's what's been missed. Nah, you don't get counterplay here, buddy. You get nothing at all. This is essentially game over here. But yeah, I don't see the counterplay here after bishop a1 either. Maybe there is. Maybe there is. So bishop here f5, take, take. Bishop here g4. I don't see the counterplay, but I will turn on the engine to prove myself a very bad player. Nah. You have nothing, buddy. You're dead. So yeah, this was a game-losing blunder here. And so was here him not taking f7, which is super beautiful, by the way. I mean, this is not an everyday mate scenario. Knight takes g4 looks good. Looks good to whom? Okay, I need to clarify this. He, knight takes g4. What the heck? Okay, nah, never mind. That was not the real thing. Okay, so takes rook f2. Utter confusion in my head now, because white just failed to withdraw with a hanging piece. Instead went in for ef5, which is only justified if knight takes f7 is seen. If he hadn't seen this, why would he have played ef5? Given that he could just have dropped back. This is very, very inconsistent and illogical chess, actually on both ends now. Fe6, Fe6, Rook F2. Okay, Queen D4, good. All right, back in the game fully, guys. Back. I can't speak. And after Rook E8, which is a tremendously beautiful move to save the day, because we are threatened here. With a lot of things, predominantly this check winning a rook, and the queen is hanging. The only thing that is not threatened at the moment is the smothered mate. And the reason why the smothered mate is not a threat is because after check, he, queen sack, knight takes, and the queen covers f7. Which is actually really, really awesome. Sadly, none of this happened because our good friend Chess pulled a Shankland. Sam Shankland resigned a dead draw position a couple of days ago against Fabiano, I think. Not a couple of days ago, it's more like a week now. And unfortunately, our good friend Chess did the same and resigned the game after Rook E8 without waiting for the opponent's response. Never too late to resign, folks. That's the lesson. And the beauty is that I can actually never sacrifice this queen to win material, because then this is a check, and then once again, it's all good. What a drama. Oh, it wasn't Fabi, it was Giri. Oh, sorry, I stand corrected. Yeah, it wasn't against Fabi, it was against Giri. Yeah, thank you for Botmid Ping for the correction there. This is a beautiful motive though, and one that is easy to overlook. That when the knight takes, the queen covers the mate. Oh boy, it would have been actually quite epic to see if white had wanted to do this. Okay, so let's take a stock of what happened here, so that we can learn a couple of things from this game. So the opening setup is a bit iffy, but that's fine. The first thing that I would like to note is that I don't really mind that black is playing for this, and white really shouldn't have played c4. I would have preferred to take it this way and then try to exploit the b file, which is a very logical follow-up here. Now, we have been given a free e4 square, which we consistently are not taking for no reason whatsoever. And it's very, very mysterious, especially from this point on. It seems to me to be the only way to play the game. The computer likes bishop takes first, which takes us to an opposite colored bishop scenario where this bishop is far superior to this one, because this diagonal is uncontested, this one is not. I can always play f6 and blunt the bishop. And also my rooks on the back rank are connected, there's not. And I also have a bit further advanced pawn structure on the queen side, so overall a clearly better scenario for black. Whether it's winnable or not is up for debate. This is a shocker, because we just totally ignored our opponent. And in fact, black carries on ignoring the threats and the plans of white consistently here throughout like 5 moves. And as a result, lands in a totally dead loss position, both after bishop a1 and after takes. Then white pulls out the bunny from the hat by not winning the game on the spot. And when the game comes to its logical conclusion, which would be a beautiful draw, by repetition here, instead we resign the game, because we don't see that after this, the queen is covering the smothered mate. A true drama and a very, very commonplace sort of back and forth game on this 1900 level. A lot to be taken away from that. Now we have got another game for us, so we'll have a look at that too. Let's see how this one went by JC. So JC is black here. JC likes to play against far higher rated opponents, which is something that I really like, because there is a lot to take away from it, even if your opponent plays absolute la-la land chess like the case is here. So that's a shocker. Don't even want to waste my breath on that move anymore. Why? Why would you do that, man? Okay, so my general rule of thumb for 1700 rated players and thereabouts is that every single time in the opening you play a move that doesn't control the center and or doesn't develop a piece, you are doing something really stupid. No center, no development, no go. That's it. And of course now bishop d3 is awesome. Bishop f5 was the way to go with e6 and then develop the bishop and be very happy. That h6 was an absolute shocker, as is bishop d7. Once again, the typical mistake of the amateur's mind. I'm developing my bishop. You are not. You are putting this bishop from a bad square to another totally meaningless bad square. That's not development, that's moving wood on the board. So now, unfortunately, it seems to me that this bishop is not going to go anywhere. That is outside of this scope, because no go. Credit to this utterly ridiculous move. So the correct decision here, in my opinion, would have been to play e6, bishop out, castles, and then gear up for the quick minority attack without even moving this bishop. Okay, super illogical and inconsistent chess again, because yeah, I mean, if that was the plan, yeah, I just don't like queen b6, but it makes some sense. I thought that queen c2 was really good against it, but maybe after rook c8 there are some trickeries here that make it valid. But again, queen e2, yeah, as per game. Okay, whatever, let's go. There, logical. Rook e8. Yeah, my biggest problem with queen b6 is that in this structure, as per indicated before, normally black wants to do what is called the minority attack by playing b5, b4. The reason why it's called a minority attack is because white has got 4 pawns on the queen side versus black 3. So the minority is attacking the majority. The reason behind doing this is because by getting here, we inevitably are going to be able to force a weakness. If they take here, this is now weak. It has no support by any other pawn. If they push by, isolated pawn, no pawn support on either side. If they ignore it, backward weak pawn. That's the strategy that black needs to follow. Now, if we put a queen on b6, it's gonna be very complicated to execute b5. Also, a4 is a bit of a bluff, but it's a useful move that white tends to play a fair bit in this structure to delay b5. But after a5, which is a very typical gut response of amateur players, we don't really think about the consequences of our moves. So a5 weakens b5 square beyond repair. a4 has not weakened much. b3 a little bit, but I don't really want to and or can put too much stuff on b3 anyway. So yeah, a5 is really just a gut instinct of, oh, okay, you're pushing, I'm pushing too, take that, baby. But the reality to the matter is, thank you MT McAllister for the follow, is that this is a huge weakening move and a4 wasn't. Okay, I'm not so sure why we're taking this, because now white is going to be able to develop a very dirty kingside attack, and we have also vacated the square for the knight. So now all of white's pieces are going to be beautifully placed. Maybe he wanted to come here. I actually would have preferred to come via c2, because this is black's bad bishop, so I wouldn't even want to give them a chance to trade it off. So yeah, knight c2 to me is more appealing, with coming to d4 next. But this is looking quite good too. So this is a French structure, and as such, black is actually, I'm not sure if black is doing too badly here, because he managed to get rid of it his French bishop, and if this knight managed to find a meaningful square, then we would be quite okay. Now, this position is where we could apply the theory of the misplaced or the badly placed pieces. When you have a position where you have no plan at all, then one of the best things you can do is to look at which piece of yours is the worst placed and try to improve it. And here it's a no-brainer. Knight on h7 is a cluster disaster, so we start rerouting it. Where am I going? Here, and ideally in there. That's an outpost. Beautiful position for the knight. The position is fairly closed, and that means that we do have time to execute such long plans. Normally we can't, because we get burnt very, very badly in the process. But now white doesn't really have an immediate threat. So if he keeps on building, we keep on building too. And now we are only 2 steps away from the so badly desired square. He would have to play something like bishop back, knight c5, bishop back to deny both this and this. But now we have got a quite meaningful position. And now we can gear up for stage 2 of our planning. I'm not quite sure what that would be. We might want to go for something like b5, e.g. rook b8, queen c6, b5, trying to soften up that guy there, potentially. But now we also have to look out for f5, admittedly. But that was a total no-brainer of a plan. I really dislike bishop c5, because it trades good bishop for bad bishop, and it doesn't address the problem of the weak knight on h7. I think I dislike queen f2 as well, because I think bishop d4 is a preferred way to do the trade, because now the f5 thrusts will become far stronger because of the pawn being guarded on d4. Sorry, on e5 by the d4 pawn. So basically what I'm trying to say is that this move unites the pawn chain again. Whereas here, it's still a bit tricky to execute that, and even if we do, certain white squares are weak. And now we have got access to another queen trade, which was played, right? I have to say that black is playing a very good game for a 1700. This is quite good stuff. Hello, what because? We have missed you dearly. Yeah. King g2, take, d4. Not bad. Once again, I'm hating this knight. I'm hating the guts of this knight. I want it to be back. So I would consider again knight f8. d4 is logical because now we get to grab the d file. So, oh wow. They drop back there. Okay, so this is really, really good play by black. In fact, now I think black is far better here, because now this bishop is a disaster, pawns are stuck on white, and we are dominating the only open file. So this is how now logic would come into play for a higher rated player. Rook c5 was played. I'm utterly baffled by this. I have no idea what rook c5 is. And this is why I keep on saying to my students a lot that endgames are one of the easiest parts of the game, because you don't really need to have any brains for it in terms of just use common chess knowledge and chess wisdom. Double the rooks on the open file. Attack weaknesses. Bring your pieces to the best squares. That's it. What chess wisdom or chess truism are we fulfilling by playing rook c5? What chess principle do we follow here? It's a mystery. Rook d4, king somewhere is almost forced, rook doubles up on the d, and near winning position for black. Absolutely near winning position. If this knight wasn't here but on a touch better square, I would be calling this totally winning. The black player is telling me that he wanted to block the pawn so that the bishop is stuck. Two major problems there. Number one, c5 is not a move because it's hanging for free. No one is going to play that. Two, what you're telling me is that you are essentially wasting the power of a whole entire rook to make a bishop stuck. How is it a good trade? So we are wasting a whole entire rook to keep a bishop at bay that is apparently the most useless piece on the board already. Makes no sense, I'm sorry. Rook d4, king here, rook doubles up, c5 is not playable. It's hanging for free. That's it. They can't do that. Very, very painful stuff to watch here, because black is totally winning here in terms of strategical chess. White has got nothing. If I was black in this position, after rook c5, I would play rook back. That's how bad rook c5 is. I'm not kidding you. Okay, nah, I'm lying. I would play rook d4, but closely after that, shortly after, I would bring the rook back. So this was a disaster. Now that is not really a good check either, because rook e3 deals with it, and all we achieve is to force the rook onto a better square. I reckon rook d... Yeah, see? Like rook c5 is hurting me so much, I would like to just ignore the fact that it was done, but I can't. Rook d4, king e3. And now we lose the d file, or we can't maintain it. Terrible. King f8. Now, whilst most of the times we do want the king in the center, this king is not going to stand very spectacularly on e7. And that cost you 3 moves to get there. Instead, you could have brought the rook back, admitting your mistake, and yeah, improve your pieces. Rook back, knight here. The king is no priority now because, as I said, even on e7, it's a very passive piece. You need to hurt these guys by virtue of coming here. And also making sure that your rooks are doubled up, so rook e4 is not going to completely dodge that successfully. Okay, so that's it. We are now looking really, really bad because this is incoming, rook on c5, disaster piece. That was the most painful thing I've seen in a long time. But apparently there is more insult to injuries coming here because rook d6 was played. Wow! And we are not taking a free rook. I am lost for words here, ladies and gentlemen. So if we actually took a breath here, thank you very much, BraveBot, for the follow. We would have realized that take is game over, for starters. But more importantly, you even have this check. Push the king further back first. Because on king e4, although technically I would still consider this to be best by far, you could go take, king here, take, and do this, which would be a very easily winning minor piece ending. You are a pawn up, and your opponent has the worst bishop in the history of the game. Oh, thank you, Why So Serious? Very kind of you to tune in. So, yeah, rook d6. Holy cow! 2200 player. That's a shocker. Like, you just take it, and the game wins itself. Like, they can never push because then king e7 stops the pawn. So, you can just do whatever you see fit. Like, king up, or maybe pawn up, check, king here. And even you can simplify and go into a winning pawn ending there. That is utterly unexplainable. I think that's mutual chess blindness here at its finest. That's just incomprehensible. And now things are getting a little bit fishy, admittedly. Thank you, Hemtan, for the follow. Because now this pawn is gaining strength as it progresses on, and consequently the bishop will become a useful customer too. So we swung back to c5 for the second time, the cursed square. I don't understand it again, because c5 is not threatening yet. So any chess player would here say, why don't we play king e7? Absolute mystery. So we need to improve the king so that then we can bring potentially the knight. Let's go rook here. And if I was black, I would try to fish in murky waters here by bringing the knight in and start hassling the king. That still looks to me like a messy position. Rook c5 for the second time makes absolutely no sense. I mean, you are trying to sell knight e5 check, but unfortunately that's a one-move blunder again. Because now we are bringing in everybody for white. Look at that. So now they have got an extremely active rook, an extremely active king, and the bishop is actually quite useful too. Huh. Yeah. Pity. Again, so typical of this game. Every time we touch the right piece, we go to the wrong square. King e7 is to be preferred, so that knight d6 check allows us to attack stuff. King f7 doesn't really improve anything at all. Yeah, probably this is a win. Oh wow! Just to prove my words even more correct, for the last time you step on a white square when there is a white bishop on the board. So after king f6, which was so badly desired, yeah, I think this should be sufficient for a win. Oh boy! Oh boy! That was just pain. Yeah, okay, so I would like to rewind this to the most crucial point of the game, which in my opinion was this absolutely horrid rook c5. What on earth would make one go there when you can go rook d4, double the rooks, bring back the knight, and just kill a 2200 rated player without having to do anything? And incredibly enough, 1700 rated players and thereabouts play absolutely horrid endgames very, very often, and I don't mean to offend anybody, that's the truth, and this is a testament to that statement. And I just am, as a coach, very often baffled by it, because as I said at this very point, all you need to do is to follow chess principles. Double rooks on the open file. Anyone can do that. Put your pieces on best possible squares where they could be. Done. Put your pawns on the opposite color of an enemy bishop. Done. It's just that simple. Like, look at how much damage I could have achieved by just doing this and followed by knight in. Yeah, that was a real tragedy. Absolute tragedy, because JC, he could have won a game without any dramas whatsoever against a 2200 rated player, and instead this endgame just went absolutely disastrously. Total disaster. And then a last final chance, our opponent just threw a random rook at us and just didn't take it. That's absolutely a shocking move that we didn't take it. Alrighty, that's gonna do us, guys, for the YouTube. So thank you very much for tuning in and watching this video. I'm going to put the music back on now.